Hello, everybody. Welcome to our startup training for 2020. Yes, I'm Merv, and this is 2020. I've been waiting years to say that, and when I can now say it, 2020 really turned out to be didn't it? Yeah. So let's get started on our training for how we are going to start, at least planning on starting. Today we're going to overview the COVID supplies that y'all have received. We're going to talk about some new verbiage, a new sanitizing protocol, and a culture change that we are trying to push right now. So let's get started with the COVID supplies. So there was a big pallet of stuff brought to the school that they're calling the CARES supply package. It's got like 15 different things in it, masks and shields and rubber gloves, anyway, hand sanitizer. That's the important part for you guys. So they're going to be bringing, or I should say in this package, there's some little containers of hand sanitizer. Those will be going out to every classroom in your building. And the reason is the CDC has recommended that 62% hand sanitizer will kill this stuff. So the state guidelines have mandated that we have that in every one of our classrooms. So that's what we're going to do. But there's also a big gallon jug of hand sanitizer, a liquid hand sanitizer. That will be what you refill those little bottles with. Now, it's up to you to work with your office and whether you guys refill them, because it's always been the custodian's job to refill pretty much everything, or whether the office does it. But the point being, number one, work with your office on it. And number two, custodial department isn't reordering that hand sanitizer. That needs to be reordered through the main office and the warehouse app. Okay. Now, what are we going to give the teachers this year to wipe and clean their desks? Well, over the years, we've used things like Spick and Span. We've had, what have we had? Hydrogen peroxide-based products, and we have used some hyperchlorous products before, some on-site generated products. Well, this year, we have decided in our department that we are going to use a hyperchlorous-based product across the board for the teachers. It's the safest thing we can give them around themselves and the kids to use to clean and sanitize the desks. So what we've decided to do is we're going with a product called Pathicide. Pathicide. There you go, Pathicide. And how this is going to be distributed eventually, when we get up to speed, it'll be kind of the milkman approach. So think about the old days when like Winter Dairy had a milkman that would go around on a route, and you would put your empty couple of gallons of milk, back when we had glass containers, we'd put them out on the front porch in a little box. We'd call the company, say, hey, I need a couple of gallons of milk, and they would come around in the next day or so, the next rotation, and they would replace your empties with some that were full. That's exactly what we're going to be doing with this Pathicide. So you have been given two 5-gallon jugs that you're to fill up with a hyperchlorous product. When you get almost to the end of one of those jugs, you will contact, and we haven't decided who exactly you're going to contact yet, but that will be coming out soon as to who you will contact via either text or email and say, hey, I need some more hyperchlorous, and next day they'll deliver you the hyperchlorous and pick up your empty jug, so you will have a continuous supply that you can fill the teacher spray bottles with. Now, earlier this year we talked about spray bottles, and I got an order from all of you as to how many spray bottles you would need. So make sure that all of your teaching stations, that means pull-out rooms, anywhere where they're teaching, that they have a spray bottle. And make sure that it's labeled. That's important, because in that CARES package came a lot of spray bottles like this that weren't labeled, and that violates Board of Health, OSHA, and risk management. So we don't want to have any fines. We want to make sure that these get labeled. So please make sure all your spray bottles are properly labeled, and make sure that the teachers get these filled up with hypochlorous and you get it out to the teachers so they can use it at their teaching stations. Now, we decided to go with paper towels to wipe things down for a bunch of different reasons, but the main reason was not everybody has a washer and dryer available to them in the school. The few that have washers and dryers are usually for the school, for their purposes, like if, little Johnny craps his pants, or if the food service folks have it for their rags. So a lot of times we don't have access to those things. It's just a whole lot easier for us to go with the paper towels. So if you need more paper towel dispensers in certain areas, please don't hesitate. Get in a work order right now. We have extra paper towel dispensers here, and the workmen can get those installed quickly and easily for you. Okay, when it comes to PPE, so I think we've covered the hypochlorous. Oh, one last thing about hypochlorous. This is just for the teachers. Okay, that's who's going to get this, the teachers, the office staff, the coaches, things like that, after school programs. But for you, what you're going to clean with in your daily cleaning won't change from what we've used before, unless you're one of the few schools that is still on the spick and span system. Those systems are completely going away. Let me know if you are, and we will get that replaced with a hydrogen peroxide system. Most of our schools either have the hypochlorous already or have the hydrogen peroxide systems installed already. So PPE, there was a mandate that came out from the assistant director of facilities, Ricardo. You guys all know Ricardo. Wear your mask all the time at work. That directive has not been rescinded, so make sure your crews understand. Whether it's a mask they bring from home, like that one, or whether it's one of the N95s that our department had, early on, or whether it's one of these newer masks that our department can get now, you need to be wearing your masks, okay? Until that mandate is rescinded, you need to be wearing your masks at work. If you have any questions about PPE and how to wear PPE properly, including your safety glasses and when to wear these kind of things, refer to the video that we have on the YouTube channel about PPE. It's a very good video, I know, because I put it together, and it's there. So check it out, please. Let's move on to electrostatic sprayers and pump sprayers. Our electrostatic sprayers, we've had some issues with them. About 30% of them have failed over the time that we've had them the last couple of years, and it takes time to get them warranted because they come from China. Great. So if you've ever bought anything from China, you know that it takes time for it to get across the pond and over here. So when we first had a bunch breakdown, it took us like 4 or 5 months to get them warranted and get them replaced. Since then, we've replaced them, and we've had another 5 or 6 go down. They are going to take a little bit of time. So in the meantime, till we get our warranted sprayers back, just use the pump up hand sprayers that we've given all of you. All of you have them. Please use those, and we'll talk in a minute about how to use them properly in our new cleaning systems that we're going to be doing. And I think we've already covered pretty much who gets what, the teachers, the office, and the coaches. Let's talk a little bit about verbiage. You folks are the most professional group of custodians I've ever met. And part of that, it's a lot of that's a lot of pressure to have on you to be that professional. And you're not just the cleaning person. I'm not talking about a janitor who just cleans. I'm not talking about just the cleaning person who just cleans. I'm talking about a professional custodian who is well trained, who knows their craft well. We need to be using verbiage and language that reflects the knowledge that we have. So for example, things like cleaning versus sanitizing, and sanitizing versus disinfecting. I'm going to throw out here that I think we need to change some of our verbiage, and there's a video on this specifically on our YouTube channel. But just to go over it real quick and review, one of the things that we found out through this whole COVID-19 mess is that when we would go in and we would sanitize certain areas of a building, we'd make the statement that we went in and we deep cleaned an area. Remember that back in March and April? A lot of you were involved in going into either an area or a building or being on a crew that went into a building, and overnight we had to deep clean the whole building. But then the next day, superintendent or a director or a secretary, somebody would go in the area and they would see some dust, or they'd see fingerprints, and they would question the level of cleaning that we actually did. This was really a wake-up call for us, because each one of you who is a supervisor in this school district has had, you've had a sweeper that I cleaned it. I did. But there's a complaint from a teacher that this sweeper has not been cleaning. So you'd go in, you'll look at the room, and you could see that it wasn't vacuumed very well. But the student would say, yeah, I've done it. I swept it. And in fact, you could even stand there and watch them vacuum a room. And next thing you know, you see things they've missed. Guess what? Same thing's now happening to us. We say we deep clean, and yes, we're there sanitizing, but we've missed some dust or things like this. So I think it's important that we get away from the term clean, okay? Because there's different levels of cleaning. Just like those student workers who come in and vacuum and say, but I vacuumed, there's different levels of vacuuming, okay? There's different levels of clean. So I'm going to propose that we make a couple of changes here in the way we talk. With this new normal that we now have, we need to go through certain areas of the building that are considered high traffic areas and high touch points, and we need to sanitize them multiple times a day. And you're going to hear the verbiage out there. Everybody's throwing out the word disinfect. We disinfect this area. We disinfect thoroughly that area. Yeah, really? Do you really? Because I want to see their process, okay? I think it's very important for us to change our terminology to the word routine sanitizing. This would be where we go through, say, an office or a restroom area, and we touch up the touch points, the areas where disease transmission would be of the highest concern. Now, I want you to think about this. When you spray and you wipe, and we've had trainings on this, and there's trainings on the channel about this, you spray and you wipe, you're not disinfecting a darn thing. Not happening. There's no dwell time. You're reducing, and you're kind of cleaning. You're getting it cleaner. How do you really clean a spot? You spray it with whatever liquid, let it sit, dig in there, do its stuff. Think of the old scrubbing bubbles. That's what I like to think about. And then you'd go in and you'd, agitate the ear. Not just wipe it, but agitate it, and wipe it down. And that's really cleaning versus spray and wipe. That's not cleaning. That's reducing, and that's good. Reducing is a good thing. Okay. Next terminology I want to get into is called thorough sanitization. And this is the operation that would normally take place on a daily basis, usually in the evenings, and performed by the custodians after most personnel have left the building. This would be not only the touch points, but this would also include all horizontal and vertical surfaces that can realistically be sanitized in an area. So I envision this to be more like what the CDC guidelines actually recommend. If you haven't read the CDC guidelines, please check it out. They have guidelines on how to clean for COVID-19. And let me just tell you in a nutshell, it's a two-stage process. You clean an area, and then you come back and disinfect. Two-stage process. So this thorough sanitization, that's kind of what I envisioned that to be, okay, because you are sanitizing the area. What's the difference between sanitizing and disinfecting? If you look up that up, and we've had, again, it's on one of our trainings where it talks about 99%, is sanitizing, 99.9999999 is disinfecting. That's still not 100%, by the way. Anyway, I'll take 99% in Vegas. That would be great. That'd be great. If I can remove 99% of the money out of that machine, that would be great. I would really like that. but I digress. This is something that usually will take more specialized tools, like some of the touch-free cleaning machines we have in the restrooms, uh, extension poles and microfiber pads, just some of the different specialized equipment that we have. That's more of what we would do for our thorough sanitization. Finally, the last term that I really would like to change is summer cleaning. We talk about summer cleaning. I want to change that to a detailed cleaning and sanitizing, because what do you do in the summertime? You tear everything down and you detail it. You get every little detail. You clean it, you detail it, and then we could go back and we would use like a spray, hypochlorous spray, in a electrostatic device and do our sanitizing. Okay, this summer cleaning always took place in the summertime, right? Well, I want us to start thinking about how that could happen during the week, how that could happen during the quarter, even on a semi-annual. But my point being, we need to start thinking about how we can do this deeper cleaning and sanitizing different times besides just the summer. And then finally, keep in mind all of this has to do with reduction. If you are spraying and wiping during the day, spraying and wiping again, spraying and wiping again, you are constantly reducing the dirt, the soil level, and the pathogens on that certain area. So when the folks come back at night, it's easier to really clean it thoroughly and thoroughly sanitize it. Okay, so let's go. Daytime sanitizing, or what we call our routine sanitization. So this is going to be where we are hitting touch points, entryways, office area, anywhere that people, when they come in the morning, you go around right afterwards and you're sanitizing these areas. Okay. Once the kids get into school, you're going to go through the restrooms. You're going to do that routine sanitization. So this is something that's going to keep you very busy. And as far as help, if you have a sweeper, one of your afternoon sweepers that you want to bring in during the day, not a bad idea. In fact, if you want to work your evening custodian, say from 10 to 6, that wouldn't be a bad idea either. That way you can get the help you need in getting some of these areas routinely sanitized like we talked about. Okay, so these restrooms are going to have to be done after every class change, or if they go to recess, the kids go use the bathroom, and when they get back in from recess, you're going to need to go through and sanitize those again. So in junior highs and high schools, it means something a little bit different because they have so many class periods a day. When they go into class, when there's a class change, okay, they're out and using all of these areas, and right back when they get back into class, that gives you time to go around and start doing that sanitizing in the restrooms and touch points, in the hallway areas, entryways, all of those kind of things. Yeah, it's going to be a very busy time. The nighttime sanitizing. So when school gets out, your night folks are going to be dumping trash, doing what little bit of vacuuming they can get to, and then you get started on your nighttime sanitizing. We're hoping that we can get everyone out of the buildings by about 6 p.m. That was something that was kind of mandated from higher up, that the after school programs, once they're finished, everybody out. Any of the teachers that want to stick around all night, too bad, that's not going to happen. They've got to be out, because you folks have got to be able to get in there and get those buildings sanitized and clean with your night staff. And again, that's going to be a little bit deeper cleaning, so there's not going to be as much vacuuming going on, obviously, because you're going to be wiping down desks. You're going to be wiping down touch points, and it's hard to do that and vacuum at the same time. So vacuuming will happen maybe once a week. There is supposedly one day a week that is built into this schedule where the students won't be in class, that would be the day that you really make sure and vacuum everything thoroughly. Also make sure that at night, this nighttime sanitizing that's going on, you're also getting your dusting done as well, because dust can carry pathogens. Okay, so desks, dust, all of these sorts of things, very, very important that they're being done every night. Your burnishing of your floors, well, that's going to happen on that one day that you get the opportunity to not have kids there. Because again, wiping things down, thoroughly sanitizing, and using the electrostatic sprayer, those are going to be absolutely critical that you get those done every evening. So we've got to learn to change our culture, because we've been doing so many things to help out around the buildings. We've got to quit doing the honeydews. And the honeydews are things like taking paper from the office down to such and such a classroom, or from the copy room, over to the supply room, or things like that. Putting the flag up, putting the Coke in the Coke machine, putting the cones out after school for the traffic pattern. No, you guys are going to be busy sanitizing these buildings. You are going to be over busy sanitizing these buildings. You're not going to have time for these little honeydews. So this is where you need to expand your team. Use other resources. Let folks know, look, it's not that I don't want to do this, but my priority is health. And moving paper isn't part of health. Putting the flag up isn't part of health. Putting those cones out, you know what? There are monitors, or there are parapros, there are other people in this building who can do that kind of stuff, but they are not doing the sanitizing. That's what I'm doing, and I need to be doing that. So please make sure to work with your school. The one nice thing is we have support from up above, that the area directors have all been told, hey, for us, sanitizing is number one, and a lot of these other things, they're just going to have to, kind of be let go a little bit. Here's the important part of this, though. If you're telling folks, no, I can't do these things because I need to be out sanitizing, you need to be out sanitizing. You need to be visible. People need to be seeing that you're doing these things. So break times. You will need to post in your office, in the custodian's office, your break times, both day and night, so that people understand here's when your break time is. If you're in there reading the paper, talking to some workmen, and you're not doing the honeydews that they've asked you to do, there's going to be some problems. Okay? We're trying to free up your time so that you have the time to do the sanitizing in the building that you need to be doing. And trust me, you're going to be plenty busy doing that. So expanding your team, using other resources, having them engage other people who can do some of these things. Because remember, you're the only one. You and your staff are the only ones that can do this sanitizing and do it properly. So vacuuming and buffing. Again, we need to change the culture. Used to be we would vacuum every day and people got used to that. Well, the folks in the building are going to have to pick up after themselves a little bit now. And you need to let them know we're going to vacuum as often as we can, but we'll get it at least once a week, maybe more, but truly our number one goal is this sanitizing, and we'll get to the vacuuming as we can. The buffing of your floors, well, that's why we went to these special pads for your auto scrubber, that the clean and shine pads that not only clean but help shine the floor as well, because you're not going to be burnishing as often as we used to. It's just how things are, and we need to change this culture, just like we did in our IPM program. We had to change the culture of grab something and spray, grab something and spray. No, instead, how about you put things away? How about you clean up? How about we exclude these critters so they don't come in the first place? We had to change a culture, and it took some time. Didn't happen overnight, but we need to work on changing our culture and having people realize that we're not just there to run the errands for everybody, but that what we are there for is to clean for health, to sanitize these areas, to make these buildings healthy for people to occupy them and for these kids to learn. Okay? So Hope all of this helps. If you have any questions, of course, get a hold of Ricky or myself, and we can answer, at least we'll try and answer to our best of our ability. And we'll see you again soon on another training video. Thanks, folks.